Hello, everyone. Thank you for taking a few moments to watch this. If you attended our in-person Fuge Camp meeting, then I'm just covering the same information and you don't have to watch this video. But if you need to be refreshed on something or you want to just go back and maybe catch a certain segment, you're welcome to do that. This is primarily for those who were not able to make it to our first meeting. And I know summer's a really busy time. So as opposed to trying to have another in-person meeting, I was just going to release this video so that you could watch it at your convenience, have all the information right here at your fingertips. And of course, if you have questions about any of this, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Call me, text me, email me, whatever is easiest for you. But let me go ahead and share this screen with you guys, and we'll just kind of walk through this presentation together. So Fuge 22 is happening, and we're just going to cover a couple of really basic things like registration, packing, our schedule, some basic rules, and then as well as some resources for you back at home as well. Excuse me. So let's talk about registration really quick. All the students that are attending Fuge have to have a registration form submitted to Fuge. This form allows Fuge to know who is approved to be on Milligan University's campus that week for Fuge. We will not be the only people on campus. There will be some other sports camps going on. There might be some students from Milligan on campus for some summer courses or things like that. And so it's important for Fuge staff to be able to identify who's there for Fuge. This way, if someone's in an area that is only for Fuge, like some of the dorm areas or some of our worship areas, etc., they know and they can get them out of there. Okay, so everyone has to be registered with a registration form for Fuge. And this also allows us to get your child any medical attention that they might need in a rare event that they get hurt or injured in any way. Now, the good news is this year, Fuge has gone to an online registration form. It's really great. So this is all done virtually. You don't have to get the form notarized. We've had to do that in the past. So it's really, really simple. And in every email I've been sending you guys for the last month or two, I have included the registration link as well as our registration code. And so just go to any of those previous emails or any of the future ones that I send you, click that link, fill out the form. There's a place to upload the insurance cards if you have those, and then just submit it. And that will get sent directly to them. They'll send me a copy so I can print it for my records as well. But it's really easy. But I do need you guys to do this as soon as possible because Fuge does need to know who's going to be on campus, and they got to start sorting all of that out. And that's how they'll assign us our rooms. So the earlier we submit them, the better rooms we tend to get. Excuse me. So that's registration. Next is our packing list. So our days will consist of time out in the community on our work sites, time on campus, just getting to have fun, hangout time, and then also worship time. So those are the kind of different things you'll be thinking about, and we'll talk more about that in a second. But one thing I want you to keep in mind is that our space is kind of limited on our minibus. And so please, pack everything you need, but pack only what you need. You probably don't need 12 pairs of shoes when 2 pairs of shoes are probably enough, et cetera, et cetera. A good rule of thumb is to assume that you might have to carry whatever you packed up a couple of flights of stairs and across campus. So we'll park as close as we can to the dorm rooms, but there's a chance that we'll be a little bit away and you might have to carry it, and you're responsible for what you pack to get to the dorm room and then back to the bus at the end of the week. So if you think there's no way I can carry this all by myself, might be a good idea to try and maybe get some of that out of your suitcase. Okay. Talking about clothing, first and foremost, dress code. If it will pass the school dress code, it should pass Fuge dress code just fine. Okay, so obviously just want to keep an eye on the messaging and the branding on our clothes, as well as maybe length or things like that. So but if it serves the school dress code, you should be fine. So let's talk about the 3 different things we're going to be doing: time around campus, on your ministry site, and then at worship. So time around campus, shorts and t-shirts are great. That's what I'm going to be wearing. It's going to be hot. Please just keep in mind, don't promote anything that has violence or drug content, alcohol content, any kind of racism, misogyny, things like that. Just we don't want anyone to be distracted or hindered by our clothing. So please keep it as neutral there as possible. We should have access to Milligan's swimming pool during our free time. So if your young one wants to swim, that is perfectly acceptable. I think there's also a creek they can get into. And so they just need swimming suits. Again, just please be mindful of your swimming outfits. And guys have to be covered up walking to and from. So shirt on as they walk to and from. And then ladies, either a one piece or please bring a dark t-shirt with you as well. On your ministry site, we'll be going out into the community. You guys have signed up for what you're looking for there. And you can still wear shorts and a t-shirt to this. That's perfectly acceptable. Just keep in mind, these are clothes that you might get a little more sweaty in or dirty in, especially if you are on the painting, construction, or yard work team. You just have a chance to get things a little more dirty. So just kind of keep that in mind if you have some clothes that you don't mind perhaps getting sweaty or dirty in. Also, for your ministry site, you need closed-toed shoes. So tennis shoes, something like that. Please make sure you bring at least one pair of closed-toed shoes for the week. And then to worship, you don't have to wear anything special. Okay, some camps in the past have required certain attire for worship. That's not the case here, right? As long as it meets that basic dress code that we've already talked about, you're fine. I will wear shorts and a t-shirt or shorts and some kind of shirt pretty much every night for worship because it's going to be hot and that's what I'm going to be most comfortable in. So that's perfectly acceptable for you to wear. Some people do like to dress up a little bit for worship, a skirt, or, you know, guys will wear jeans and a polo. That's fine too. Just whatever you're comfortable in, but there is no requirement for it other than it meets the normal dress code. The last thing you see down there is called Mega Relay. And Mega Relay is just our fun event at the end of the week. And the only thing I'll say about that is that it's a kind of space theme this year, I think. So if you want to dress the theme and you have a spacey kind of shirt or outfit, you can do that, but then you definitely need closed-toed shoes for that as well. So make sure you pack those, please. Talk about some of the other things that we need to pack. Specifically, let's look at our bedding. So we'll be sleeping in a dorm room at Milligan University. They'll have twin size beds, or I think they're called oversized twin. They're a little bit longer than a typical twin, but twin sheets do fit it, or of course a sleeping bag. You want to bring a pillow, towels. It seems like every year someone forgets to bring towels. So please bring towels. Please bring toiletries. Let's pause there for a minute and talk about that. Soap, shampoo, deodorant, please. It's going to be a long and hot week. Please pack some of these basic things. Toothbrush, toothpaste, and then whatever else you feel like you will need for daily showers and good hygiene. Please note that I just said daily showers and good hygiene. We're going to be working a lot. We're going to be sweating a lot, and nobody wants to be around someone who hasn't showered all week. So please just plan on taking daily showers. Parents, if your young one struggles with taking daily showers, have that conversation with them before we leave, that this is a good expectation for them to meet this week at camp. So anything you need for good hygiene, please make sure you pack that and bring that, and don't forget your towel. I recommend everyone pack a trash bag or two just to put dirty clothes in. This is a good way to kind of keep our dorm rooms picked up a little bit. As well as have them not lose. Seems like there are some years at the end of the week, I'm holding up like 3 t-shirts and 2 pairs of underwear, and I'm saying, who does this belong to? And no one wants to claim them, and so I just have to throw them away. I don't want to do that. And so packing a trash bag not only keeps the dirty clothes separate from their clean clothes, but it helps them keep track of all their stuff. And then last, let's talk a little bit about snacks. We will feed your youngin really good food throughout the week. They'll get 3 pretty good meals, but everyone does like to have snacks. So you can pack snacks, but please be mindful that, dorm rooms are a great place to attract ants, and nobody wants them to, have ants in our room all week. And we certainly don't want them to bring ants home in their luggage to you. So if they're going to bring snacks, just remind them to store them properly, to put them up, when they're done with them, kind of keep them in an area, keep them sealed up, things like that. We also likely won't have access to any kind of cold storage unless it's for a medical reason that you talked to me about. So, don't send them with a box of ice cream sandwiches or something that needs to be refrigerated or kept in a freezer. That's just not going to last. But students love to bring Pop-Tarts, granola bars, things like that, cheese crackers, gum, fruit roll-ups, fruit snack, just whatever they want to bring. That is absolutely fine, so long as they keep it cleaned up, and they keep it put up. Everything that we make a mess of this week, we have to clean up by the end of the week, or they charge us extra money, which means I charge you extra money. And so just have them keep in mind that whatever they pack, they've got to clean up, and they need to keep put up as needed. But I do want to mention, we eat a good breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Milligan's one of the better locations that I've been to as far as food. So, they can bring snacks for sure, but they will be getting some good food otherwise. A couple of other things, just talking about packing. Here are some items that I found are handy to have. Reusable water bottles are really great. I never go anywhere without mine. We'll have opportunities to fill it up in the cafeteria at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And when they're on their work sites, they should have some coolers of water that they can refill it up with. Now, if they don't bring one, that's okay. There are some disposable cups on their work site that they can use. And then, of course, in the cafeteria, there are cups that they can use and fill up and stay hydrated that way. But having a disposable water bottle or reusable water bottle is just really good. This way they always have, water at their fingertips, and it helps them stay hydrated, because I know they're going to be tempted to fill up on Mountain Dew or Dr. Pepper when they're eating their meals. But we're going to be working. It's going to be hot. We need them drinking water. Also, some other things, a Bible is a great thing to have. We're going to talk more about cell phones in a minute, but most everyone nowadays has their Bible on their cell phone, but I don't want them on their cell phones this week, because they might spend 3 minutes looking at the Gospel of John and then 30 minutes looking at TikTok or Instagram. And so if they don't have a physical Bible, please reach out to me. I will provide them a Bible to bring with them and then to keep for, forever. We want them to have a physical Bible, and I'm happy to buy that for them. So bring a physical Bible if they have it. If not, let me know and I'll buy one for them. A pen's a great thing to have to take notes. So I'd recommend grabbing a couple of pens and putting it like in a backpack to bring with you. A notebook isn't as necessary. Fuge will give us a little student workbook that they can write in, but some people like to take good notes or like to write things down. In that case, bring a notebook. And then last but not least, let's talk a little bit about some money. Your child can survive this week with no money in their pockets. They can survive it. They won't go hungry. They won't miss out on anything, but there are a few things that they can spend money on to, maybe make their week a little bit better, or just because. The first thing is the Fuge store. The Fuge store is going to be selling things like t-shirts and hats and, books and music and bookmarks and pins and all kinds of just Fuge merchandise. So if they want kind of like a souvenir, the Fuge store is going to be the place to do that. That'll be open all throughout the week. Then also some places around campus will be selling snacks, usually to raise money for missions. And so, if they're wanting a cold, can of beverage, or if they're wanting, some potato chips or whatever, a few dollars to buy some snacks can help with that. And then last but not least, we will take up a mission offering while we're at Fuge. We do this every year. And so I'll just leave this slide up and you can read through it if you want. But basically, the mission offering that we take up at Fuge goes to two different organizations. It goes to the International Mission Board, which specifically will be working with the Mbeta people group. This is an unreached, unengaged people group from the mountains and river regions of Colombia and Panama. And so this is a group of people that have never heard the gospel before. And the International Mission Board is training and sending missionaries to work with those people. And then also we send money to the North American Mission Board this year, specifically with a group called St. Louis Neighborhood Outreach, which works with people that are in poverty or need help, getting food, getting to doctor's appointments, and just living life in general. And so at Fuge, every student that's there has the opportunity to give towards this offering, and 100% of the offering goes to these two organizations, right? Nothing off the top, nothing else. It all goes to these. So if you want to send your student with some money and say, hey, this $5, this $10, this $1, whatever it is, goes towards the mission offering. You can send that with them and tell them that, or you can also just give that to me before we leave, and I'll keep it separate and make sure it gets into the mission offering. And so if you want to be a part of that, you can. Again, you don't have to be, no strings attached there, but they will take it up. That is what it goes for. And it's one of those things where they don't cut out any percentage to pay anyone along the way. It literally all goes towards those efforts. Okay. Last but not least, just what not to pack. Obviously, no alcohol, tobacco, illegal drugs, fireworks, water guns, any kind of weapon, right? Your student does not need their pocket knife this week. They will be okay without it. I say that mostly because we're going to be staying on Milligan's campus. That is a university. They have strict weapon policies and laws as a campus, and we don't want to break them, right? We want to be honorable of that. We want to be honorable of Fuge's rules. And again, they just don't need it. They don't need their pocket knife that week. They don't need any kind of, slingshot, anything you feel like that. Also, no items that can be used for pranks, such as water balloons, silly string, shaving cream, unless your student needs to shave. They need to shave, they can bring it, but if they're not, they don't need it. With that said, we'll talk about this more in a couple of minutes, but pranks are not allowed at camp. This is a Fuge rule, but I'll go into it when it's my rule too, because I have a specific rule about that as well. But Fuge's side of it says that we're going to be charged for any damages or issues related to cleanup. So we don't want that. iPods, iPads, gaming devices, rollerblades, or roller skates. We'll talk more specifically about some of those things in a minute, but just know that Fuge doesn't think you need to bring them. I definitely don't think you need rollerblades, skateboards, gaming devices, any of that, but we'll talk more about some of those things in a little bit. Please note, and we'll talk a little bit more about this in a little bit, but I want to mention it now. If they do bring cell phones or other electronics, they are not to be out or in use during worship, during Bible study, during nightlife, during recreation, or their ministry sites. And we'll talk about that more in a minute, but just keep in mind, if they do bring anything like that, they basically need to stay in the dorm room, or if it's their phone, it needs to stay in their pocket, kind of thing. We don't want those things to be a distraction to us that week. All right, that's packing, and I assume this will be where we have the most questions. So if you do have questions, please go ahead and reach out to me about those things. We're going to fly through the rest of this. It's all pretty simple from here on out. First, let's talk about our schedule. This might be the second most important thing we'll talk about, and that is our leaving schedule for Monday. On Monday, we're going to meet at the church at 12 o'clock noon. Be packed, ready to go. We're going to load as soon as you get here. We'll take a picture. We'll give some hugs to our family, and then we're going to get on the road. With that in mind, please either eat lunch before you come or bring a lunch with you to eat on the bus on the way there, because we will not stop for lunch on the way. It's about a 2-hour drive to Fuge, especially on our bus. So we'll get to Fuge between 2 and 2:30. We'll get checked in. That'll take a little bit. We'll get settled in, unpacked, go around campus a little bit. And then you'll see there that we don't have dinner until 5. That's why I say either eat lunch right before you come or pack something to eat on the way. This is another time that maybe having a couple of snacks goes a long way, because again, from about noon until 5, we won't have an official meal. So they'll want that. And then you can see how the rest of that day goes with our opening celebration, and then eventually in our dorm rooms for bed by about 11 o'clock. Tuesday through Thursday's schedule, I'm not going to go into a ton of detail about this, but I just mostly want you to see that our day starting at about 7 o'clock in the morning, and it's ending at about 11 o'clock at night with a lot of stuff in between. So very busy days, very full days, but very fun days as well. And then we'll talk about coming home on Friday. That's the other day that is a little bit different as far as the schedule goes. So you'll see that we'll still get up at 7. We'll do a couple of things, but then we're going to leave Milligan by about 11 o'clock, no later than that, which will put us home between 12:45 and 1 o'clock on Friday. So please make sure you have arrangements for your young ones to be picked up around that time, and we'll have them text or call whenever we leave Milligan, and then again when we're about 30 minutes away, just so whoever is picking them up knows when to come and get them. Okay, so that's our schedule. Really basic, but really fun. All right, last big thing to talk about, and then just a couple of little side notes. We have a couple of rules while we're there, and here they are overall. It's a simple respect policy, it's a 3-strike policy, and then we'll talk about some of those other things real quick. So respect really summarizes everything to do with our rules. If your student, if your child can respect themselves, if they can respect other campers, if they can respect our church leaders who have taken off time of their life to be there, and then respect the Fuge staff, then they're going to be fine. It's all about showing respect, and we're going to show respect to them as well. And I think if we just can do that, if we can be respectful to one another, then we're not going to have any issues. With that said, we do have what I call my 3-strike policy. And that is if your student is doing something, that they're not supposed to be doing, or, they're not focusing in, or they're causing mischief or whatever, that happens, right? We're all human. We're all, they're teenagers. That's going to happen. Strike 1 is just a verbal warning. Hey, please stop, flipping your water bottle during worship. Okay, that's distracting. Please stop this or that, yada, yada, yada. Please put your phone away, right? That first strike is just a verbal warning, just reminding them to do the right thing. Strike 2 is going to be where they need to shadow a sponsor for the next day, basically. So as opposed to getting to go on free time and go swimming or things like that, they're going to be with me or one of our other sponsors, just kind of doing whatever we want to do, hanging out, sitting around, whatever. So they kind of lose some of that freedom to go and do the things that they want to do. And instead they've got to shadow us until, we feel like we can send them off on again. So usually until the next day. And then strike 3 is that they get sent home. Okay, so if behavior is just continuing to be a problem, or just continuing to not have that respect issue, or they're continuing to be a distraction, or removing the experience of camp for the others, or hindering that, when it gets to this point, a strike 3 will be that we send them home, and we'll get them back to you, or let you come get them, either way. But I'd say in all my years of student ministry, I've never personally had to send anyone home, but I know that people have been sent home from events before. So I hope it doesn't get to that, and I don't think it will. We've really not had that problem before, and I don't anticipate it this year. All right, so other stuff. Let's talk about cell phones, other electronics, and then bullying. Okay. Your student can bring their cell phone with them. It just can't become a distraction. So phones are great to have in case they need to reach me or one of the other sponsors, or of course to touch base with you. You want to hear from your kiddo as well, and you'll probably feel more comfortable knowing that they have their phone in case they need it. So they can have their phone, and they can even carry it with them around campus. I'm fine with that. They might want to take some pictures from time to time with it. That's fine, right? But students should not have their phones out during worship, during Bible study, or when they're on their ministry site time. That's for sure. Now, if they pull it out on their ministry site time to take a couple of pictures real quick, no one's going to raise a big stink about that. If they pull it out during worship time because they want to get a picture of the speaker or the band or whatever, again, no one's going to fuss about that. If it's out in their hand the whole time, if they're just constantly looking at it, if they're playing games on it, that's where it's going to become a problem. We don't want it to be a distraction. And that's where we're going to ask them to put it up, or we're going to take it and hold on to it until we get back to the dorm room or something like that. So if they will, just keep them in their pocket and all that, only use them when they need to, that's perfectly fine. But if it becomes a distraction, we're going to ask them to put it up, or we're going to take it up. Okay. So that's things about cell phones. With other electronics, I don't think they need to bring any other portable device with them. They don't need to bring, their Switch or their Game Boy or their, iPad or their portable DVD player or whatever that happens to be. We're not going to have a lot of time to use those things. We're not going to have a lot of time to do that. And if they do bring them, they have to stay in the dorm. Okay. They don't need to be walking around campus with an iPad or a Switch or something like that. There's just not that much time in the day for us to be utilizing that. And then with that said, if they do bring them with them, neither Fuge or Sharon Baptist is responsible if they're damaged, lost, stolen, etc. I mentioned earlier that we're not the only ones on campus that week. There'll be some sports camps, there'll be some other things. And if they're walking around with their Switch and they leave it on the table while they go get themselves some more to drink at lunch, and they come back to the table and it's gone, it's gone. If they're sitting there and they're playing their Switch at 1 o'clock in the morning because they got to get their gaming time in, and it falls and it hits the hard floor from that top bunk and it shatters, it shatters. It's broken. I'm sorry. That's on them. That's on you guys. So that's why I just recommend don't bring them, right? There's just more risk than reward. And, one thing that I love about camp is it gives our students a chance to be together, to get to know each other, and to disconnect from technology that is so ingrained in our culture right now. All right, bullying. This is already covered under respect, I know, but I want to give it some extra emphasis. Our desire is that our kids have an enjoyable week where they connect with their friends and connect with God, right? We will not tolerate any kind of bullying, not physical bullying, not verbal bullying, nothing. Okay. And bullying very likely could result in an automatic strike 2 or even strike 3. Okay. That means they could go from being great to where now they start bullying on someone and they're immediately shadowing a sponsor, or they cross a line and we say, hey, that's it. You're done. You're going home. Pranks, by the way, are a form of bullying. That's why I don't allow pranks either. So, I feel like sometimes we start to bully someone either with our words or with our actions. And then we say, oh, I'm just kidding. I was just pranking them. I was just messing with them. We're not going to do it that week. If your child communicates that way, if that's their love language, so to speak, have that conversation with them and say, this week, don't do that. Okay. We're not going to bully on other people. We don't want their week to be ruined with what God's trying to teach them and all that. So those are our rules. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward, pretty easy to get along with. Parent devotions, I've sent these to you in email several times. I'll send them again. I also have some physical copies if you'd like it. This is just a good way for you to follow along with what your students are learning about God that week, as well as giving you some devotion so that maybe you can grow in your faith that week as well. So just a great resource, nothing that you're required to have, but something that we want you to have. And then, of course, my contact information has been in all of the emails that I send. I'll make sure it's in there again. But if you need my cell phone number, my email address, things like that, so you can get a hold of me at any time during the week, we want you to be able to do that. Okay. I'm excited about Fuge. I think it's going to be a great week. We have a great group that's going, and I really look forward to spending time with your kids and looking forward to getting to know them better, to know what they like, what makes them tick and all that. I'm just so excited to spend this time with them. I hope you are as well. Please don't hesitate to ask any questions. We're so close to camp. It's going to be a great week. I'm just looking forward to it. Thank you for watching this video. We'll see you next time.